Hey y'all, it's Kim. So this is the video of the dismissal for all charges against Jeffrey Epstein because he had already passed away. So they're allowing the victims at this point to come in and just say their piece. They've already had a few Jane Does and then a couple of well named victims, like Courtney Wild and Shantae Davies, I think is her name. But anyway, we're going to start right here on page 46. It says, Mr. Edwards, Your Honor, I think I have one more client that is going to speak today. Anuska de Giorgio, I guess. The court, would you spell that? Mr. Giorgio, good morning, Your Honor. The court, good morning. Mr. Giorgio, my name is Anuska, Anouskade, space Georgi, sorry, OU, excuse me. Thank you, Your Honor, for giving us the opportunity to be heard today. The court, sure. Mr. Giorgio, I guess that's how you say it. When I was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein, I was young and full of hope and the foolishness of a teenager. I was realist or idealistic, and I saw the good in people. Jeffrey Epstein manipulated me, coerced me, and sexually abused me. Something I think is very important to communicate is that loss of innocence, trust, and joy is not recoverable. The abuse, spanning several years, was devaluing beyond measure and affected my ability to form and maintain healthy relationships both in my work and my personal life. He could not begin to fathom what he took from us, and I say us because I'm every girl he did this to, and they're all me. And today we stand together, those that are present and those that aren't. I was a victim, and it's taken me many, many years to stand here and say, yes, it was me. I was a victim, but I will not remain a victim and be silent for one more day. Although I think it's tragic when anybody dies before their time, I'm extremely relieved that Jeffrey Epstein will not be in a position to hurt anyone or any more children or any more women. And I'm glad to be a part of a group of women who are now bonded forever in the trauma that we endured at the hands of this man. Thank you. The court, thank you. Mr. Edwards, Your Honor, we have one client who was not able to be here but sent a message through a letter. Her name is Michelle Licata, Michelle. Last name Licata, Licata. And Brittany Henderson of my office is going to read her letter as instructed. The court, sure. Miss Henderson, thank you, Your Honor. The court, yep. Miss Henderson, what happened to me occurred many years ago when I was in high school, but it still affects my life. I was told then that Jeffrey Epstein was going to be held accountable, but he was not. In fact, the government worked out a secret deal and didn't tell me about it. The case ended without me knowing what was going on, without me being held responsible, excuse me, held without him being held responsible, excuse me, without any explanation, without a chance for my voice to be heard. I was treated like I did not matter. Many years later, he was arrested again. These investigators and attorneys representing the United States have been completely different. I'm still mad, concerned, and confused about how he committed suicide and escaped responsibility again, but I know it is not the fault of the judge or the government attorneys. I was allowed to be a part of the process this time. My attorney was able to tell me what was going on at every stage because they kept him informed. Thank you for inviting me. It means more to me than you can ever know. I was not able to be here this time, but I know that I was allowed to be, and I had the chance to attend this hearing, which is helping me in my healing process. The fact that I mattered this time and the other victims mattered is what counts. For that I'm grateful. The court, thank you. Mr. Edwards, Your Honor, finally, in 2008, when I filed the case under the Crime Victims' Rights Act, it wasn't me alone. I did it with Paul Castle and Jay Howell. Paul Castle is here today, and I thank Your Honor even cited to a piece of an opinion of his from when he was on the bench, and he has some remarks to make. Once again, Your Honor, I really do believe that this is a model for how victims should be treated in a criminal process, and we really do appreciate it. Thank you. The court, thank you. Mr. Castle, I'll be very brief because I know there are others that want to speak here. I'm Paul Castle, CASSELL, previously served as a federal judge of the District of Utah, currently a law professor where I teach crime victims' rights at the University of Utah College of Law. I just wanted to take 1 minute to address some suggestion that there would be no need for a hearing this morning. I think having heard already from these powerful victims and recognizing how important giving those statements will be in the trajectory of their lives makes clear that Your Honor has followed exactly the right path. Legally, there is one precedent, which is U.S. versus Heaton, a case that you cited that I wrote about a decade ago. And as explained in that opinion, victims have important interest in the criminal justice system that can only be recognized if they're given their day in court. With all due respect to other law professors that have recently written an article, I think transparency is one of the overriding objectives in our criminal justice system. And the one substantive action that I would urge Your Honor to take today is to publish your remarks as a published opinion. The Heaton case is, to my knowledge, the only reported decision on this particular issue, even though it's more than a decade old, and yet we can see today that these problems recur in many other cases. Your remarks today, I think, should be published so that they can serve as a guide for other judges around the country. I would encourage you to add into your remarks as reference to the Crime Victims' Rights Act. The Crime Victims' Rights Act promises victims the right to be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect. And the process that we see unfolding this morning is a clear example of how victims can be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect. So I know that Your Honor is wondering what is the appropriate action here. Unfortunately, it seems like there are no other legal options, but there was a legal option for you to decide to exercise, which was to allow these victims to come forward. And if there's been one positive thing that has come out of the tragedies, the abuse, the other events of this case, it's been your decision to allow these victims to be heard this morning. And I encourage you to publish your decision and to encourage other judges to follow what is clearly a model for crime victims' rights. And there's clearly an example that should be followed in other cases down the road. In the court, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. I had no idea that you would be here when I wrote the remarks, but it was clear from the literature that you are the leading expert formerly of the District Court of Utah, I believe, and that's a pleasure to have you here today. Mr. Castle, thank you, Your Honor. The court, thanks. Mr. Boyce, thank you, Your Honor. David Boyce of Boyce, Schiller, Flexner. We have with us today 5 of the victims that we represent. There are a number of additional victims who either were unable to attend or are still unwilling to come forward publicly. This has been an enormously traumatic aspect of their lives, something that, as you've already heard and will hear more today, is something that they can never entirely escape from. I want to, as prior counsel have, commend both the court and the counsel for the Department of Justice for the consideration and respect and attention that they've paid to the victims. We believe that that is not only right as a matter of human dignity, but we think that it is exactly what the law requires and intends. I will be more blunt than the court has been or Professor Castle has been about Professor Green's article. That is an article that cites no authority, and I believe there is no authority for his proposition. I entirely respect his right to advocate on behalf of his client, Alan Dershowitz, who has retained him in connection with litigation that we brought against Mr. Dershowitz. But I would have expected that the law journal or Professor Green himself would have disclosed that connection, which I think is a conflict. But regardless of the appropriateness of his disclosure or lack of disclosure, I think that this article opposing allowing the victims to have a voice in this proceeding is inconsistent not only with the policy that underlies the Crime Victim Rights Act and the very statute that Mr. Epstein is being prosecuted under, but it ignores the actual language of those statutes and many other statutes in which Congress has made clear that the purpose of the criminal law is no longer simply to punish the individual defendant, but it is to find some way of trying to mitigate the damage that has been done to the victims through restitution and economic mitigation, but also through the ability to confront and to have the court system and the justice system and the prosecutors treat these victims as they are victims, as they are human beings, and they are entitled to the respect that our society needs to give every human being. So I think that this is not only commendable, but I think it is what the law requires. In response to the question the court asked, I have discussed this hearing with my clients. I've told them that under the applicable law, the government has no alternative but to move to dismiss this case. And I believe under the applicable law in this circuit, the court has no alternative but to grant the motion. I think the current law is outdated, as the court suggested in some of its remarks. I think there will come a time when either an appellate court or the Congress will make clear that just as it's possible to continue civil cases against someone after they have deceased, it is possible, at least for purposes of things like restitution, to continue criminal cases, but we are not there now. And fortunately, in this case, there are other ways and perhaps even more efficient ways to vindicate the interests of the victims here. We greatly appreciate the remarks of the representative of the Department of Justice today, and we too, on behalf of the victims, are not going to stop when we walk out of this courtroom. We're going to continue to seek vindication against Mr. Epstein's estate, and in some senses, perhaps even more important, against the people who worked with him and enabled him. As you've already heard, and we'll hear more, Mr. Epstein did not act alone. He could not have done what he did on the scope and the scale of what he did for as many years as he did it without the activities of support and the co-conspirator activity of a number of other key individuals. And those individuals also need to bear their share of responsibility, and those people need to have a reckoning as well. My partner, Sig Macaulay, who's been working with me for more than 5 years on this case, is going to, with the court's permission, introduce 5 of our clients who will speak briefly to your court. Thank you very much. The court, thank you very much, Mr. Boyce. Pleasure to have you here. And then Miss Macaulay. Thank you, Your Honor. The first victim that we would like to speak to today is Teresa J. Helm. The court, can we have the spelling of your name? Miss Macaulay? Sure. Sigrid, Sigrid, and the last name is Macaulay, Mccawley, and our partner at Boyce Schiller Flexner. The court, thank you. Ms. Helm, good morning. The court, good morning. Ms. Helm, thank you, prosecutors and judge and the court. My name is Teresa Helm. I note today I do feel respected and listened to, so I appreciate that. And I have to say that I commend the boldness of the New York prosecutors for pursuing a man that has, and others that have clearly taken a lot from a lot of people. 17 years ago, I knew, sorry, I have to check it. 17 years ago, I knew him only as Jeffrey. I was recruited and brought from California to New York. And that experience for the last 17 years has been a dark corner in my story, in my life story. And that has been definitely made worse by my own self-shame and anger for normalizing all of the red flags. I feel like we are conditioned to do that. And that's something that needs to change. So I'm here today, I'm coming forward because it is time to bring light to that darkness, and it's time to replace that darkness with light. And I am a survivor of this, and I do aim to progress further from being a survivor. I feel I've worked hard, quite hard, to get to where I'm at now, and I'm definitely at a place in my life where I will no longer cover up. I'll no longer cover up what needs to be brought to light. Jeffrey is no longer here, and the women that helped him are Ghislaine Maxwell. My experiences with Ghislaine Maxwell and Sarah Kellen, and they definitely need to be held accountable for helping him, helping themselves, helping one another carry on this huge, almost like a system. So they need to be held accountable, all of them. And I would like to see that. Certainly on behalf of myself and for everyone here, thank you. The court, thanks so much. Ms. McCauley, our next client who is going to speak this morning is Virginia Roberts Giuffre. Ms. Giuffre, good morning, Your Honor. The court, good morning. How are you? Ms. Giuffre, okay, thank you. My name is Virginia Roberts Giuffre. That's VIRGINIA Roberts ROBERTS, and then Giuffre GIU double F for Fred RE. I'm a victim of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in the dark and cruel and criminal acts that committed against me and hundreds of other girls and young women for years and years and years, unstopped. Thank you for allowing me to address the court and speak the truth. I commend the prosecutors from the Southern District of New York for the ongoing investigation and its pursuit of justice for us victims. It has given me hope, and I will not let go of that hope. When I was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell in Mar-a-Lago, just before I was 17, I thought I was given a big break and I'd be able to reset my life and become an actual real massage therapist. My hopes were quickly dashed and my dreams were stolen. Jeffrey Epstein is no longer alive, but this is not about how he died. This is about how he lived. He will not have his day in court, but the reckoning of accountability has begun, supported by the voices of these brave and beautiful women in this courtroom today. The reckoning must not end. It must continue. He did not act alone, and we, the victims, know that. We trust the government is listening and that the others will be brought to justice. Thank you, Your Honor. The court, thank you very much. Ms. McCauley, the next client of ours that will be speaking this morning is Sarah Ransom. Ms. Ransom, thank you, Your Honor. My name is Sarah Ransom, RANSOME. I'm a victim of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's international sex trafficking ring. I would like to thank the court for the dignity and the respect you're showing me here today, as well as the other victims. I would also like to acknowledge and extend my gratitude to the prosecutors from the Southern District of New York for pursuing justice on behalf of the victims. Please finish what you've started. I struggle to find the words to adequately say how important your work is to us. For a very long time, Jeffrey Epstein gamed the system at every level, and when he realized he couldn't do that any longer, he showed the world what a depraved and cowardly human being he is by taking his own life. But we, the victims, are still here, prepared to tell the truth, and we all know he did not act alone. We're survivors, and the pursuit of justice should not abate. Thank you, Your Honor. And in the court, you're very welcome. Ms. McCauley, our next client is going to be speaking this morning is Annie Farmer. Ms. Farmer, good morning, Your Honor. The court, good morning. Ms. Farmer, Annie, ANNIE, Farmer, FARMER. I had the opportunity to speak at Jeffrey Epstein's bail hearing, and I really appreciate that you heard me and listened to me that day. I'm so sorry that others will not have the opportunity to stand before him the way that I did, but I'm here today to speak on behalf of my sister Maria Farmer, who could not be here. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell not only assaulted her, but as we're hearing from so many of these brave women here today, they stole her dreams and her livelihood. She risked her safety in 1996, so many years ago, to report them to no avail, and it is heartbreaking to her and to me that all this destruction has been wrought since that time. We were deeply disappointed and disturbed by Epstein's death and the fact that was allowed to happen while he was in the government's custody. And I'm encouraged to hear that there will be a full investigation as to how that was allowed to happen. But it is extremely important, as others are saying, that he did not act alone and that the other people that were a part of what he did are held accountable and that investigation continues. I believe that we have a real problem in this country with perpetrators of sexual abuse and sexual assault being held accountable. There are so many roadblocks to victims being heard, to cases being investigated thoroughly, and then to those cases being prosecuted. And so I think this is a really important signal to send a message to victims out there that people will take you seriously, people will follow through, and that even those in power, as we have unfortunately seen, that has not been often, that has not been often are able to escape that even those in power will be held accountable. Thank you. The court, thanks so much. Ms. McCauley, our next client who's going to address the court is Marquise Chartuni. I don't know how you say that. She says it's much more beautifully than I do, so I'll let her say it. Miss Chartuni, my first name is spelled Marrijke. Last name is Chartouni. My name is Marquise Chartuni, whatever, and I'm a victim of Jeffrey Epstein and the sophisticated sex trafficking operation he ran, where he allegedly was to be a financier. I was 20 and previously modeled and was living in the West Village. I met a young woman named Rena through a mutual friend. We were friends for a few months. She was an amazing artist and liked to party. One day she called me and asked if I was interested in meeting a friend of hers. She told me he wanted to meet me and really liked blondes, and I thought he was our age and liked to do the same things we did at that age, so I agreed. Ugh, just nasty. I'm sorry. It's 50, 60-year-old man. No thanks. Especially when you're that young. Hell no. Okay, sorry, I had to throw that in there. So on a sunny, crisp day, excuse me, I said crispy. Sorry. On a sunny, crisp day, we took the train together to the Upper East Side. She then began to talk a little bit about him on our way to his house. I was at his house. I was sexually assaulted by both Rena and Jeffrey Epstein in his mansion. It left me feeling with both disgusted and betrayed. As we walked home to the subway afterwards, she continued to tell me about the man who had just abused me with her participation. She seemed exhilarated from the horrific experience. I was shocked and in a daze. This is a few things that she had told me. She told me he went to Cooper Union. He was a mathematical genius, that he had favorite girls that he would take to Chanel for 15-minute all you can buy shopping trips. She told me his right hand person had connection to the arts and the fashion world, and she could help me. This is not my complete story. I'll stop here. I'm in a good, stable place in my life, and I had decided to come forward to be a voice to the victims who may not be able to tell their story, or at least not yet. I feel like I am a survivor. Thank you, Judge Berman, for inviting victims to speak today before you. We hope the government is listening very closely to the words we're saying. In the court, thank you very much. Mr. Boyce, Your Honor, just very briefly, the court, sure. Mr. Boyce, I would like to express to the court how proud I am of all these women who've come forward. It's taken an enormous amount of strength and courage for them to do so, and thank you. The court thanks Mr. Boyce. Hold on one second, and then there's a pause. Mr. Lerner, thank you, Your Honor. My name is Kimberly Lerner. Oh, excuse me, Miss Lerner, sorry. Of Lerner and Lerner. In your honor, with your permission, I would like my client, Jennifer Arose, to stand next to me? The court, sure. Miss Lerner, would that be okay? The court, absolutely. Miss Lerner, Your Honor, I would like to begin by saying that I'm in awe of all of these beautiful women. I just want to let you know, on behalf of Jennifer and myself, we admire you, we respect you, and we applaud you, and you are brave survivors. And Jennifer's heart is with you, with all of you, and we thank you so much for coming forward. Jennifer, when she went public, she thought she was only, or one of the only ones, and to see all of these faces, I know, amazing for her. Jeffrey Epstein was a predator, a pedophile, and a sick individual. However, he was also a thief. He stole Jennifer's childhood dreams, her innocence, and her self confidence. She was 14 years old. What he could not buy, he forcibly took. And why? Because he surrounded himself with a network of powerful people who not only looked the other way, but also actively facilitated and participated in sexual abuse of children. Jeffrey Epstein thought he was above the law, and essentially he was until now. The system let Jennifer and the other victims down, but it does not have to end here. We asked the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI to bring all of Epstein's enablers and co-conspirators to justice. It has taken Jennifer 18 years to find her voice, and again, Jeffrey Epstein has tried to silence her. While she will never have her chance to face him in court, he no longer has any power over her. Today, this brave survivor will be heard. Ms. Eros, thank you for allowing me to be able to have my chance in court today, to be able to tell you what this horrific man did to my life. You can't even imagine how much it affected my childhood all the way through my adult life. He robbed me of my dreams. He robbed me of my chance to pursue a career I always adored. He stole my chance at really feeling love because I was so scared to trust anyone for so many years that I had such severe anxiety. I didn't want to leave my house, let alone my bed. The fact that he felt entitled to take away my innocence, the fact that he felt that he could do whatever he wanted, regardless of the law, hurts me so very much. It took me years to tell anyone what Epstein did to me because I was so ashamed and embarrassed of what people would say or think of me until I found out there were other victims, girls just like me. I knew I could no longer keep my silence, no matter how ruthless and powerful Epstein was, and still is even after his death. The fact I will never have a chance to face my predator in court eats away at my soul. Even in death, Epstein is trying to hurt me. I had hoped to at least get an apology, but this evil man had no remorse or caring for what he did to anyone. I felt let down by the people who were supposed to watch him in prison. They let this man kill himself and kill the chance of justice for so many others in the process, taking away our ability to speak. Out of all the damages and side effects that Epstein caused by his heartless and selfish acts, it's very hard to put my feelings and emotions into words, trying to let his horrendous actions go and attempting to forgive him has been so difficult for me. Yet, as hard as it's been to come so publicly forward, I refuse to let Epstein take me as a victim anymore. I am a survivor. The man that's, hold on, the many that stand before me here today that have shared the horrific experiences with this deplorable human being, because even though this weak, evil coward tried to steal all of our childhoods, tried to steal all of our innocence, and tried to steal all of our means of justice, he will never steal our inner strength, and he will never, ever, ever steal our voice. Thank you so much. The court, you're welcome. Miss Gibbs, good morning, Your Honor. Terry Gibbs, Terigibbs. For the record, I'm a California attorney. I'm not admitted to the New York State Bar. I'm here to make a statement on behalf of New York attorney Lisa Bloom. I work for her firm, the Bloom Firm. Lisa Bloom represents 4 of Jeffrey Epstein's victims, Jane Doe 6, for the record, Jane Doe 7, and Jane Doe 8. I'm so proud of all of you victims who are here today and are able to voice yourselves today. I will not and cannot comment on the criminal case or Miss Bloom's communications with her clients. Ms. Bloom would like to share 3 of her clients' statements for the record, and here are the statements. Statement of Jane Doe 6. To the Honorable Richard M. Berman, Jeffrey Epstein stole my innocence. He gave me a life sentence of guilt and shame. I do not consider myself a victim. I see myself as a survivor. The abuse that I endure cannot continue. Let's stop this before it happens to other young women. Jane Doe. Statement of Jane Doe 7. To the Honorable Richard M. Berman, I used to be relatively carefree, inquisitive, hopeful, and excited about life, but my life changed because of Jeffrey Epstein. My perspective on life became very dark when I was unknowingly recruited by one of his agents. Jeffrey Epstein ruined me. His recruiter ruined me. The far reaching consequences of that day ruined my family's lives. I've chosen to remain anonymous in order to protect my family from unwanted media attention. I was just trying to figure out my path in life when I encountered Jeffrey Epstein in his New York City mansion. I cannot even begin to summarize the many detriments this experience of sexual assault has had on my life. Immediately following the incident, I was unable to function and be around other people. My parents had to rescue me and bring me home, where I became a recluse for years. I was changed forever and buried my assault deep down where the darkness couldn't hurt me anymore. But of course, it has always been here, lingering and affecting me unconsciously. At the time, I was mired in shame, guilt, and humiliation. I had somehow tricked myself into thinking that I allowed the assault to happen, that I did it to myself, but, excuse me, that I don't deserve to be alive or to be loved. I believed that I was a disgusting, shameful person who does not deserve to ever be happy. These are the thoughts I've lived with on a daily basis. Furthermore, because I couldn't tell anyone out of fear of judgment, blame, or retaliation, keeping this secret completely hindered my ability to uncover why these issues existed for me, which could have led to a path of healing over the years. It is time for those of power to do the right thing. It is time for compassion toward our fellow human beings to reign over money, power, and greed. We need to protect our most vulnerable to allow them a chance at a normal life, and nothing should come in the way of that. I believe that for future generations, including my own children, this case will set a precedent that victims must no longer suffer in silence in our own or be shamed or on our own or be shamed for coming forward to seek protection. This case should demonstrate to those who want to harm others that there will be reckoning and that they will pay dearly for the harm they inflicted on innocent people. Judge Merman, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for this forum and opportunity. To all those survivors who came before me, I commend your bravery. There is no way I could have done this without you. Thank you to the public following this story for your outrage and desire for answers, which will hopefully move this case forward so that victims can stop having to relive their experiences every day and move on to begin to heal. God bless the victims, their families, the investigators, and public servants working so diligently to find those answers and to right all these wrongs. Jane Doe 7. And let's continue on next page. The court, thanks very much. Okay, I'm going to stop here and then we'll record this next section. So let me just stop it. That way it's not super long, boring.